Wanda Vitale here with the Empowered Empaths. I want to talk about healing the past today. My focus is with empaths or feelers who are here to break through conditioning and take their gifts to the world in a bigger way. So that may look like creating illogical results in a mainstream industry or vocation. It might look like creating new systems in the world, new laws. I work with a few attorneys. It might look like taking new healing methodologies to an awakening world. And that might look like being a coach. But here's what I want to ask you today. Are you talking yourself out of your dream, and are you letting your past define who you are? And are you letting your past define what's possible in your life? A common theme that arises with people that I talk to is, well, what about my past? I'm so broken. Nothing has ever worked. I really want XYZ in the world, but I don't even know how that could happen because, oh my gosh, I need to fix this first. I need to fix me first. That's what I want to talk about. There's so many of you believe that there's a chasm that exists between who you are now and what you want to do, and it's just too wide to navigate. It seems overwhelming. So let's look at this idea of healing your past. And this may trigger you. This conversation may trigger you, but this is what I know to be true. You don't have a past. There's only now and now and now and now. Creation is already done. Everything is a memory, and it's done. And it's also expanding. That's what we do with our experience here in the world. Your past was one perspective on what was happening as a kid, as a little kid. One perspective. It's the lens that you chose as a soul. I want to share this little story, true story, that happened probably 30 years ago. A friend and I were attending a monthly channeling event held by a famous trance channel here in Sedona. And my friend asked about healing her incest. And the response was something like, my dear, that was the only way you could get love. Without this, you would have died. So I want to invite you to take another look at what you think is in you is broken and needs to be fixed. And it might be something in you that you have shame and unworthiness about. It is only a memory, and I'm not suggesting that what happened was right. I'm not suggesting that it was forgivable. I'm suggesting that you consider that your past might have been what love felt like then. It may have been the only way that you could get love. If you have a past with verbal or emotional abuse, maybe that was the only way that you could get attention. And certainly what I want you to know is that that's what many of you are here to share in the world. Your past has shown you what love is not. And so many of you are here to show and tell the world what unconditional love is and what that looks like, or what it looks like in relationships or money or all these other areas of our lives. It's all purposeful. All of it is purposeful, or it wouldn't have happened. Again, it didn't happen to you. You chose it as a soul. So what I want to say is, every time we dredge up a painful memory, because there is only now, we're bringing it into our now moment, into our present. We're bringing the shame, we're bringing the hurt and the unworthiness into our present. There's an entire industry built on healing the past. There's an entire industry built on getting rid of blocks. I just see it all the time. Get rid of your money blocks, get rid of your relationship blocks. It's an entire industry built upon the idea that we have a linear past, present, and future, meaning it's a whole industry that says when I fix my or heal my past, that will create a different present and that will lead me to a different future. Otherwise, why would we do it, right? We want to feel better about ourselves because we think it leads to different possibilities now. But this whole idea, this whole industry of fixing ourselves is based on this idea that we're broken, that there's something to be fixed. And my point is that it's an entire industry that's built on the idea of separation, which says, I am my ego. But you're not your ego, and you're not your past. The ego is only a collection of ideas. The ego was meant to be an interface that's focused on your five senses, your five physical senses. But that's all it is. And the ego then has adopted all these ideas about who we are, how life is, how we fit into it, how money works, how everything is. But it's just a bunch of ideas, thoughts. That's all it is. It's not real. And so we have this whole industry built on the idea that the ego needs to be fixed so that we can create a different future. But that's not how it works. You're not your ego. You are not your past unless you continue to believe you are, reacting in the same old ways. Your reactions, our reactions tell us who we believe we are. Our triggers, our reactions, our decisions that we made about ourselves and about life when we were little, mostly before we were 7 years old. So if you decided that you were afraid of dogs, for instance, when you see a dog, your body may still contract. But is it a habit? Or are you really afraid of dogs? Or are you someone who loves dogs now? This is how our conditioning works. We continue to react in the same old ways until we decide that we're not that person anymore. But, there's nothing to heal in the past. It was an experience. So my definition of healing is it's forgiveness. It's taking the wisdom from the experience so it no longer controls us. In my friend's instance, she has taken that deep, deep wound of not being loved and is turned into a lover of life. She is turned into a lover of all, no matter what. This is how she's taken that wisdom. And that's what many of you are doing with your work. This is what I want you to know. You're not at the mercy of your past. You're multidimensional. You get to decide which version of you want to become. You're multidimensional. You are sitting in the center of all that is, every possibility, every potential, every possible version of you. You get to decide if the new you is Super Coach Susan, and you get to decide who she is and what she acts like. And that version of you, if it's Super Coach Susan, has a different past with different memories. And those memories, different memories arise as you decide to act like, be like, think like that super coach Susan. If the you that you're choosing to express in the world is bestseller Mary, then bestseller Mary, that version of you, has a completely different past that aligns with bestseller Mary's wild success. Every version of you has its own tone or frequency that acts like a magnet, and it's what you came here now to express on the planet. That unique expression of you has taken the shame or the unworthiness or whatever you experience, the not enoughness, whatever you experience as a child, and that version of you has alchemized it into a fuller expression of you. It's taken the lead of a painful past and turned it into gold. So the version of you that you take to the world, there is no shame. There is the worthiness, the fearlessness, the persistence. Whatever you experienced as a child, you've turned it into gold. A Course in Miracles says the script is written. And this means that each version of you, each identity that you decide to be, whether it's Super Coach Susan, bestseller Mary, dynamic mom, whoever that is, that unique identity that you decide to be and to express has its own memories that match that identity. And each identity that you choose has its own unique path to express the things that you've decided to express in the world as an individuation of Source. We're addicted to our conditioning, but we can choose not to be. This is how we navigate that chasm from who we've been to who we're choosing to be, who is wildly successful, loved, whatever it is that you're wanting to create in the world, creating a bestseller. We have to stop the same old patterns. And we have to stop believing that we're broken or that we're not enough. That's a habit. We have to decide, this is who I am now. I'm not that version of me anymore who is powerless. This is how I'm different. I know I'm powerful. I know I create my life. I know that I learn so much about love. And that's how we break the addiction to this idea that we have to heal ourselves. It's wisdom. And remember that nothing changes in our lives out there. Nothing changes until the response in our body changes. Your body has to realize that you're different. So this is why we don't get there by fixing ourselves. We just know it was perfect the way it was. We chose it. And then we decide when our old reactive patterns come up, that's not me. I used to think that. I used to react this way, but I don't do that anymore. This is who I am. This is what I believe now. This is how I'm different. And nobody can do this but you. It's a conversation that goes on in our heads, no matter who we are. We have to notice what we notice. And when we're reacting in the same old way as the shameful, unloved, whatever your story is, we have to start telling a new story of how we've turned the lead into gold. And we have to start responding to life that way. It all happens between our ears. We notice what we're saying. We notice when our body contracts. We notice when we start to contract in fear or doubt and say, nope, that's not me. That's not me. And so this whole idea that we have to heal our past makes no sense when you realize the past is just something that was purposeful and that happened. You chose it as a soul, and that there is no past. There's one past that you remember, only one past. And there were other versions of your past happening, but you didn't notice them. Just like now, there are multiple versions of your life happening, but because of our conditioning and our identity, we only notice the version of reality that matches who we are being in each moment. You're quantum. You exist in parallel realities, each one different vibrationally, each one with its own set of memories, and each one with its own different path. Reality, what you call reality out there, rearranges itself to show you who you're being. So let's just stop the addiction to healing or fixing. Let's stop this addiction to brokenness and our unworthiness and the idea that there's something to be fixed. You are source who chose to be here, to experience everything so that it would help you decide what to birth, what to breathe life into with your awareness, with your thoughts, with your speech. So we need to act like, react like, think like, talk like the version of you, of ourselves, already bringing our gifts to the world. And understand that the path of how, which also stops a lot of people, the how shows up one step at a time. It's part of the script. It's already written. The how is not anything that the ego or the mind, logical mind, knows. Your higher mind knows how. And so what if part of your identity is, I'm always at the right place at the right time. Everything always works out for me. I'm perfect, just as I am. Don't talk yourself out of your dream. Everybody listening to this is here for a reason. And everything in your life is part of that reason. Everything in your experience has informed you in certain ways that is part of this big gift that you're here to either take to a larger audience or here to model for others. So stop the healing and fixing. You're perfect. See it as perfect. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Share this and get it out to the world. And most of all, thank you for your service and choosing to express what only you can express. Thanks.